Let's take a quick look at how we can run the Cosmos Osmosis Starter Project, where this project here actually indexes all the events and messages from Osmosis. Jumping into VS Code, let's run the standard SubQuery init command, and we'll call our project Osmosis Demo. Let's choose Cosmos as the network family. Select Osmosis, the starter project. And then we'll accept all the default parameters. Then as always, let's cd into our project directory and we'll install the dependencies. Great. Let's go ahead now and run yarn code gen to generate the types. And then I'll also build the code as well. Now, before we go ahead and run this code, let's open up the schema file first. You can see here we've got two entities or tables or objects called execute event and message as well. And for example, the message, this is indexing the block height transaction hash addresses such as sender and contract, and also fund amount and denomination. Next up in our YAML file, the configuration file, you can see scrolling down, we're hitting the Osmosis endpoint provided by allthatnode.com. And in fact, you can jump into the Osmosis documentation to find out the official public endpoints as well, if you want to try those out. Scrolling down, we've got a start block of just over 9.3 million. This is because there's some data at this particular block height. And then we've got two handlers, an event and a message handler, both filtering on the message execute contract type. And then in our mapping file, you can see we've got the two associated functions, the handle message and handle event. The handle message here, MSG, this object is being passed through, which is of type Cosmos message. And then all the parameters, the data is accessed and assigned to the various variables. And a similar thing happens with the handle event as well. Now, before we get this up and running, I just want to go to the Docker Compose file and make some modifications. Inside our node section under commands, I want to decrease the batch size because it is a public endpoint, and if I leave it as the default of 100, it's going to be rate limited. In conjunction with this, I want to add a flag called store cache threshold, set this equal to 1, just so that the results are returned quicker instead of being cached up for longer. And again, just for demo purposes. So with this, let's go ahead and run yarn start docker. And a note, you could run yarn dev to encompass all the last three commands. So my Docker instance is spinning up. Let's jump into our playground here. And in fact, I'll jump into the README as well, just to do a copy paste of the example query that we want to run. We've got the playground here. Let's go ahead and start a new query here. And I've pasted this in. And hitting run, you can see we've got some data coming back already, which is great to see. Now, if you do want to go ahead and do a cross check, I can copy this ID, the transaction hash out, and then go across to mintscan.io/osmosis. Let's scroll down to a transaction, and then we'll paste in the transaction hash of our data, hit enter. And then what you should see here is if I scroll down, inside the message, we've got the fund amount, which is 35 here, 35 over here as well. We've got the denomination, UOSMO, that matches. The contract address ends in TPG. You can see the contract address here. And we've also got the sender, Indian KPT, which is KPT as well. So there you have it, a very quick example of how to get the Osmosis Starter Project up and running.